Okay, this video we're going to go over one inventory ratio, and that ratio is called days in inventory. And this should look a lot like days sales outstanding, which we did in the receivables section. And so days in inventory, what does it represent? Well, how many days worth of inventory do you have sitting on your shelves right now? Okay, so at the end of the year, you have inventory sitting on your shelves. How many days will it take to sell all that inventory? Well, let's compare Target and Bed Bath & Beyond. So as of the end of the year for Target, which was February 3rd, 2018, and let me switch colors here to green. So as of the end of the year, Target had inventory on the shelves that had a cost of $8,657. Remember, that's the cost to Target of that inventory as of the end of the year. Well, what was the cost of inventory they sold throughout the entire year? Well, that's on the income statement here. Cost of sales was $51,125. So now let's compute this ratio. Inventory divided by cost of goods sold times 365. So inventory at the end of the year was 8,657. Cost of goods sold is 51,125, and we'll multiply by that 365 to get 61.8 days. So now let's just understand this ratio. So at the end of the year, we have 8,657 sitting on the shelves. We sold 51,125 throughout the entire year. So what percentage of a full year's of sales do we have sitting on the shelves right now? That's what this fraction tells you. What percentage of the full year is sitting on the shelves? And when you multiply that by 365, you get the percentage of the days in the year, which is actually just the days. So here, the interpretation of 61.8 is that on average, inventory sits on a Target shelf for 61.8 days. Now let's compute for Bed Bath & Beyond. So here's Bed Bath & Beyond's merchandise inventory of 2093869. And their cost of sales is 7616920. And so the ratio of the two times 365, and you get 100 days for Bed Bath & Beyond. So as you can see here, and I don't know whether this fits with your intuition or not, but merchandise sits on the Target shelf for 61.8 days, but on average, merchandise sits on the Bed Bath & Beyond shelf for 100 days. So Bed Bath & Beyond has their merchandise sitting on the shelf for longer than Target. That is one interpretation of this finding. But as we talked about with receivable ratios, there are certain transactions and events that can bias this ratio. And so you want to understand those. Okay, and that is the inventory ratio, days in inventory. Finally, there's a piece of academic research on inventory efficiency, and it relates to customer base concentration. Now, this is something we talked about in revenue section, which is how reliant is a company on a single or small number of customers, and that's called customer base concentration if a company is reliant on a small number of customers. And this paper that was published in Production and Operations Management looks at the effect of customer base concentration on inventory efficiency. And so days in inventory is one measure of inventory efficiency. If you can have inventory sitting on your shelf for a small period of time, that means you're more efficient than a company that has inventory sitting on the shelf for a long period of time. And these researchers find that manufacturers with more concentrated customer bases hold fewer inventories for less time. And so when they say for less time, they're using the days in inventory metric. And so these companies are less likely to end up with excess inventories if they have a concentrated customer base. And maybe that fits with your expectations that if you have a small number of customers, you can coordinate more closely with them and you can hold a more efficient level of inventories rather than having inventories sitting on your shelves for a long period of time.